Pops and the Rican.
Pops and the
Look at this. Pops and the Rican. Pops and the Rican. What's the Pops and the Rican? Look at the top of his head. Pops and the Rican.
What's up, man?
Oh, hey, everybody! Look, it's the Pops and the Rican show, and
Yeah, and I'm frozen.
and I'll let you know, even on Frozen, I'm still Pops.
Yeah, and I'm the Rican.
and Frozen, he's still the Rican.
I'm still the Rican.
But this is going to be an interesting show because technology is normally it's Steve's best friend, you know. But I gave the engineers a couple of extra bucks. They said, "Hey, we'll just make him freeze in the corner, so it looks like he's not doing anything."
Oh man!
And because everybody knows he's the only one that does anything,
Dude.
So I'm like, let's just.
It is killing me, and you know how I am when it comes to stuff like this. So I'm already just upset at myself for not having everything in line, and it's a matter of just having one tiny little tool just to make this a little bit better, and I don't have it, and that's pretty upsetting. But I'm glad to be on the show. I'm glad to be at least the audio's working.
Well, and the fun thing is, I get to sit here and watch as your video catches up.
Exactly.
You kind of look like your Speedy Mouse or whatever.
Speedy Gonzalez. Yeah.
Hey, look at here! I'm going to catch up with you. I'm like, he's off the gas there, big boy.
That's horrible. Yes.
We got a long show to go here. So
exactly.
Anyway,
exactly.
Hey, well, I'm excited about tonight because we're actually catching up with with one of the comics that's rolling in this weekend to Gutty's Comedy Club.
Yes,
and I'm excited about the fact that we are back at doing shows. And
yes, we're back.
Now we need the people to get the word out and tell people, hey, you've been cooped up, you've been locked up, you've been in lockdown, you've been in timeout, you've been, I don't know what you've been doing, but it's time to get out of the house. Yeah. It's time to go have some fun, go have some laughs. Go down to Gutty's.
Yep.
You know,
and that's what we do, man. We like to bring just quality comedy to the Greenwood area, man. I'm excited about what's happening, and I'm glad that we're able to get out and about and get things back on track. So if you're watching, you definitely got to do this. You got to download our mobile app. Our mobile app has everything that you need to make sure that you're connected. Because I'm getting some calls, not a lot, but I'm getting some calls that are like, "Are you still open? Are you opening?" And you will know directly if you had our app on your phone, because our app will give you notifications. So if you have the app downloaded, you'll get notified on whether or not we have anything coming to the club. So you definitely want to download our mobile app. We also want to make sure that if you're watching or whoever's going to watch this later, to know that we appreciate every single one of you that have donated to Gutty's Comedy Club, because if it weren't for you guys, I'm telling you right now, we would not be doing what we're doing. We wouldn't even open the doors. So thank you so much for your generous contributions, and also for your prayers, and just connecting and letting calling us up and asking us if we're all right. Thanks for checking in on us too as well. So we really appreciate the community that we built, and I'm excited to be able to go back and see all the faces, the returning faces, and also new faces to the Gutties as well. So I'm stoked about it, man.
Well, and we really have been blessed with the fact that people have said, look, we want good, clean, family-friendly entertainment in the Indianapolis market. We want Gutties to survive, and we do. And because of the generosity of people, we've been able to do that. And I'm excited about it because now we're able to even if it is at 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah, we only have 40 seats a show. So by all means, if you haven't downloaded the app, do it now so that you can get your tickets to make sure you have a seat. Yes.
Yeah.
Because the likelihood of us selling out is a whole lot faster when you only have 50% of the room to work with.
Yeah.
So by all means, if you haven't gotten your tickets, get them now, and then join us for some fun. Because I'll tell you what, the guy that's here tonight as our guest, if memory serves me right, and trust me, I'm old, I know, and I forget stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm just lucky that I remembered to be on the show tonight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But our guest tonight, if memory serves me right, I met him at a clean comedy challenge that Leslie Norris Townsend was putting on a number of years ago. Don't ask me how many, because I've slept twice since then, and I completely forgot how long ago it was. But I think that's where we met, and I've been doing this game for a while, and I enjoy when I run into comics that are getting into the game and they're putting in the work and they're really diligent about honing their craft, and that I love to watch and see how their career kind of ratchets up and grows. And I've seen that happen with our guest tonight. And I'm excited that because we've remained connected as friends, that I was able to hit him up and say, hey, why don't you come down, roll through and do a show here at Gutty's Comedy Club?
Yeah.
And, it's not like he's that far away, because he's in the neighboring state over here. I won't say the name of Ohio, because I don't want people hating us that we actually invited somebody from Ohio. But so I'm not going to tell him where he's from. I'm just going to say he's in a neighboring. Well, there are people, that are like,
they shouldn't be.
Well, it's a Big Ten thing, I think. I guess.
Know. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm an SEC man myself,
Sports.
so
yeah.
I don't. So okay, who cares, But he's from a neighboring state, and so he's able to just zoom down here this weekend, and we're gonna
hang out with us. Yeah.
And so I tell you what, let's go ahead and let's bring him in, and welcome to the Pops in the Rican show tonight. My good friend, all the way from another state, not Ohio, but he lives in a town that rhymes with Cleveland. I don't know. I'm just making this stuff up as I go along. But
yeah,
let's welcome to the show my good friend Dan Brown. Well, hey, look,
what's going on?
Hey, I'm on the TV.
You're on the tube.
How
the
cool
YouTube.
Is it? Man, thank you guys so much for not telling anybody from Cleveland, Ohio. I think you guys saved me big time. Woo. That's the bullet.
Yeah,
bro. we're keeping that on the down low,
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, welcome to the show. We appreciate it. We're glad that we're actually able to do this, because we want to start bringing the comics that are going to be coming through the club. We want to be able to connect with everybody too as well, because everybody's always asking, who are, where are they from? What are they doing? And I like to introduce, at least give it like just an intro to letting them know, hey, this is what we got going on, because we like to bring in these comics from all over, and it's good to be able to connect with everybody, let them know what you're all about. Just give them like a taste before they come see it. You know what I mean?
I dig it. This is so cool. Cool. I appreciate that you guys do this. Not many clubs are doing things like this.
That's the thing and that's the whole thing about what's going on, is because of the fact that we've been pushed to do something like this, to be innovative, because of this whole COVID thing. So we could lean on the fact that COVID's just been like a problem, which it has, but at the same time, out of that necessity came the mother of invention. I mean, we were able to innovate and come up with ways to be able to, just generate something awesome for the club. And that was, being able to introduce, other comics that are going to be coming through to the club to the live audience that's been following us. So I'm stoked about how it's coming out and how it's happening. Obviously, I'm all messed up today, man. But usually we have this stuff going right. But I'm glad you're on, man.
Well, I'm happy to be on, man. And I got to say something too. Like, not only do I appreciate clubs that do this, I'm also appreciating the comedians that I see are actually trying during this time.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm trying to bury anybody when I say this. But if anything, I thought COVID taught us while, everyone's backs were against the wall, that if you didn't come out of this with like a new skill or new ideas or like a new
Yeah,
side gig or something, it's
yeah,
not that you lacked time, you lacked ambition.
that's
That's
true.
personally how I felt.
That's a good point, and we'll talk about that too, because that's really
Yeah.
good. Because that's something that, as a comic, you got to be ready to do. You got to be able to be ready to jump on any kind of change that happens. So whether it's whether it's a bit that doesn't work right when you're on stage and you're switching it then, or let's say somebody comes in and says, hey, I need you to do set 15 minutes instead of 20, and you got to be able to adjust. And then what we do as comedians, or as bookers too as well, is that our product at Gutty's Comedy Club is all about clean comedy. And so our product now is to be able to teach those who don't do clean how to work clean, because our motto is basically, if it's clean, there's more green, meaning you get more money if you can work clean. And so
Absolutely.
we're trying to bring both worlds in, where, yeah, we're not trying to shun anyone that doesn't do clean. We're just trying to show you, look, if you can open up your gift and skill, and start writing more creative, you'll get the opportunities that you didn't think you can get. And so with Gutties, is we're trying to not only bring comedians that are doing clean to teach and to learn from, but we're also bringing comics that don't do clean to tell them, hey, let's work together. So that way we bring the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And it's been great. It's been cool.
Yeah. That's always one advice I give to new comics too. And I'm like, listen, I can't help you be funny. I can't tell you how to be successful, but one thing I can tell you to do for sure is try to write clean. That doesn't mean you need to be a clean comedian. That doesn't mean you can't have dirty material. But if you do try to write clean, you are going to be flexing that muscle in your brain that is going to help you in the future.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
well,
it,
and I say it all the time. If you can work clean, you can work anywhere.
Yes, you can.
Because it's real simple to take a clean set off the tracks into the dirt, but it's not as easy to take a blue set and clean it up and put it on a clean stage. And remember, in the middle of your set, oh yeah, there are certain things I can't say.
Sure.
So if you can work clean, you can work anywhere. And that worked so well for me, 25 years in this business, working corporate gigs, working cruises, working clubs. If you can work clean, you can take that set and go anywhere. But if you're not willing to do the work, and like you said, do the writing ahead of time to prepare for it, that's you're going to be out of luck. So
that's good stuff.
So Dan, let me ask you this. Help me remember. Is that where we first met? Was at the Clean Comedy Challenge? Was that where we first met?
Yes.
Okay.
I know for a fact it was a Clean Comedy Challenge. I'm trying to remember which year you and I had met, because at first I had done it every year when I first got started. Like in 2010, I had gotten started, and a couple months later they were doing a Clean Comedy Challenge. And I saw one of the Northeast Ohio comedians was like, oh, I think I have a good chance at winning this. And I was like, oh, I should try out for this thing. And I'm like, if he's got a good chance, I have a good chance. And then I get there and I've been 3 months in. And then, there's like Marty Simpson, who's been doing it for like 15 years. And then like, as they're going on, each person's like, oh yeah, I've done it for 20, 25, 12, 18, 13. I was like, I'm way in over my head right now.
Now, actually, that's the best time to get involved with any of the festivals or the comedy challenges. If you're early in the game, that's when you want to get going, because I tell people the festivals and the challenges, it's all about the networking that you get to do with the comics that you're going to get to know. And that's where you learn so much. You
really did. Yeah. And I learned a lot that weekend too, in such a short time. Not that it was a disastrous weekend for myself. I'm trying to remember how it was. I think we did The first 2 nights we did 5-minute sets, and then the second night you did a 3-minute set, and then if you made the finals, you did longer.
Right.
I can assure you that first year I did not make the finals. So the first night I did, I for the life of me, I can't tell you the jokes verbatim or really what they were. I made a joke about being Italian, and I used a slur. A slur against Italians, and they told me I can't do that, and they're like, you need to be more clean, and I'm like, well, Jim Gaffigan's clean. He makes jokes about religion. I should make jokes about religion. And all these people were like Leslie's like church friends who came out to this thing. And I just made one of the most. I'm embarrassed to say here, but I had one of like the darkest religious jokes. Like even at 3 months in, it's like you could have heard a pin drop. And right before I did that joke, I made a joke about putting down a puppy, like euthanizing a puppy, because I'm like, well, I'm not swearing, it's clean.
Yeah.
And then I remember Leslie came up to me. She was like, Dan, your first minute or two, you started off great. Then you killed the puppy. She's like, I don't even want to go into the religious stuff. You killed the puppy, and that's where you lost them. But lucky for me,
you could crucify Jesus again, but don't kill the puppy.
That was the joke. I couldn't crucify Jesus.
Wow.
The crickets lost their breath on that one.
Wow.
Inside the room. But what worked out well for me was, like I said, I first had gotten started that weekend. I also had a workshop at the Cleveland Improv for Dave Swenson. I don't know if anyone who's been on your shows ever talked about Dave Swenson's workshop. Steve, sorry, you're delayed video. I thought you were laughing at that.
Don't look
you took Swenson's workshop, you idiot.
Don't look. You can't look at Steve's video because
that's why
it's catching up on every second. Now it looks like I'm in deep thought right now. Yeah. So go ahead.
But I took Swenson's workshop, and if you don't know anything about Dave Swenson, he ran the New York and LA improvs during in the 80s and whatnot. He was the person who booked Dave Chappelle for like his first like television gig.
Nice.
He's got a lot of credits. He knew everybody that there was to know. And I love that workshop so much. I took it a second time right after I was done.
So you're a big fan, of understanding that you need to learn what comedy's all about, right? To invest in yourself. Because there's some people that think that, people who buy into, can I learn to be funny? That, they're getting duped because you can't buy your way to comedy, or you can't buy your way into stuff like that. And I don't understand why there's so much. I don't say so much, but there is like at least some pushback when it comes to like these veteran comics who say, "Oh, they're just out there to get your money."
Yeah, it's funny too that you say that, because actually the very first thing I did in stand-up, because I didn't know anything, I didn't know what the rules were, whatnot. Well, before the first thing I did, I got the business cards and the website because I needed to make sure that my my info was ready in case Letterman came calling. But I took an MC class at the Funny Stop Comedy Club, like how to MC a comedy club, and the things I learned in that class, like I kept the pamphlet. It was run by Jay Bach. I'm not sure if either of you know that gentleman. He's a super sweet man, funny guy. And so I took the class, and everything that I learned in that class, even when I MC today, I still go based off of what I learned in that class, because Jay was a very good host.
Okay.
I can see, I guess I can see where some people are like, oh, you're paying for workshops for people you've never heard of. I guess I can kind of see where that comes from too. But I also, when I first got started, I also thought I was being very smart, and I researched who Dave Swenson was beforehand.
Okay.
And I saw that this guy was legit. And years later, what makes me appreciate it, 10 years later now, I appreciate that one of the first things he said in his workshop is, I can't teach you how to be funny. I can just help you set yourself up. I can help you set up your set list and your jokes. And I can even teach you some of the business end too.
I say that's good.
Yeah, but he didn't guarantee that you're going to be funny. And as I said, like years later, I look back at that and I think, man, that's the best thing about that workshop. He's not filling you full of empty promises.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, how much more as far as like without having to go through the school of hard knocks to learn different techniques or even tools to get you to prepare you to get on stage. Why wouldn't you want to invest in something like that for your career?
Yeah.
Versus it being, this guy's just out to get me. I get, trying to get credentials or at least learn from somebody who's been in the game for a while that has something to give to you. But at the same time, you definitely got to do your work. No matter what, you can go as many seminars as you want, but you still got to put in the work.
Yeah. And that's always been the cool thing about doing the Clean Comedy Challenge was listening to each one of the judges who had been in comedy for quite some time, kind of tell you their story and what helps them.
So when you and I met, was that, I'm just trying to remember, was that Chili Chalice was there that weekend?
That must have been 2013.
I don't remember exactly one, but wasn't Chili there as one of the judges? And
yeah, I remember the one in Indiana on that farm.
Yeah,
Chili was Dave Swenson was one of the judges there too that weekend.
Right.
Chili was Eddie Brill. Eddie Brill was one of the judges. It was awesome learning from Eddie and hearing what he had to say.
And was Jan I'm no longer allowed to evidently go out west because I can't remember Jan's last name.
I couldn't tell you for the life of me.
I was going to say he pretty much runs the Ice House or ran the Ice House, and I can't think of his last name. And I'm a horrible person for it. I don't know if was he there that
was
weekend?
2011. That was 2011.
Like I said,
oh man, who was the person who books cruise ships? We did it at her restaurant the next year. She has a cafe in Senoia, Georgia.
Barrett,
maybe.
And I can't think of her first name, but yeah. Anyway, that's one of the things I love about going. Leslie will hit me up, say, "Hey, are you going to come by? Are you going to do any?" Okay, I'll show up. And I love to go just for the networking aspect of it. But then to get to hang out, that's kind of where Dennis Rican and I met and got to know each other a little bit there. And then we've connected since then. And we've actually had Dennis here on the Pops and the Rican show, and so it's those networking opportunities that I think people need to understand how important that is, that not only are you given the opportunity for some stage time to showcase your talents, but you're given that opportunity to sit and listen and ask questions of guys that have been there, done that. They've got the T-shirts or the boot prints in the backside to prove that they've been doing this for a while. And they can teach you a lot of helpful, beneficial skills and resources that you're going to want as you continue to climb your ladder.
Yeah. And, I made a lot of friends doing that competition the first few years. I thought it was cool, and it was a chance to reconnect with a lot of people. That's where I met Andy Bedingo. I met, you meet Claiborne. I met Claiborne Cox, and I met CJ Harlow. Which, by the way, have you heard from CJ? I just went on Facebook, and a couple of days ago, I was just thinking about him, and he hasn't updated anything. I went to his website. No. There was nothing new. Man, I hope he's doing okay.
I've reached out to a number of different ways trying to reconnect with him because I actually had CJ was on one of the first times that I did a Stand Up for Our Heroes event. I put together an event where we were taking it out across various places across the country just to celebrate the local heroes, not necessarily, not just thinking about the military, although they truly are heroes, but we went to kind of celebrate the fire department, the police departments, the local librarians, the teachers, the people that serve their communities on a day in and day out basis. They don't get many accolades. They don't get celebrated all that much. so let's do a stand up for our heroes event. And we went out and
Especially
did
the teachers
some
and
shows.
librarians.
Well,
Especially the teachers and librarians, man.
especially if they had to teach people like me.
Yeah.
They,
I guarantee you I wasn't that far off of you, Dennis.
so yeah, well, they deserve some accolades and some rewards and some trophies or something. I don't know, but and so yeah, CJ and Johnny W.
Okay.
were a couple of guys that I had on one of the first stand up for our heroes events that I did. It was over in the St. Louis area. We did that one, and so and then I haven't seen him since then. I think he kind of just, I don't know what happened, if he was taken away by aliens or if he just realized, hey, I'm much funnier than that old man. I don't have to waste my time with him. I don't know.
Who knows? Maybe he threw away the smartphone and he could be living on an island right now, just
living it up,
enjoying his life.
Either that or he's back in Gnawbone, Kentucky, wherever it was he was from. I don't remember where he was. Horse Cave. Horse Cave. That's it.
Gnawbone.
I couldn't tell you where anyone else was from. I know for a fact he's from Horse Cave because I didn't believe him that was a real place.
Yeah, he's probably back in
Horse
Horse Cave. He's back in Horse Cave, Kentucky, running his own still, and he's off the grid. That's probably what he's doing. I don't know, but so, well, let's go back. What got you into this game? I mean, how?
Yeah, that's it's kind of a long story. I'll give you kind of the bullet points to where I got started in comedy. I'm not sure if you remember this, but I'm a massive pro wrestling fan, and the thing I wanted to do ever since I was a little kid was be a pro wrestler.
So you got another pro wrestler, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well, when I was 18, I was diagnosed with a heart condition, so I had to quit wrestling. You know, I just finished my high school, my senior season, and I had to quit weightlifting. And a few years went by. I went back to weightlifting, and up until about a year before I gotten married to my wife. So in 2016, my wife works at the hospital, and she asked one of the heart specialists that came in about Marfan's, and the doctor told her, like, if he's working out the way that the way that you're telling me, if he's truly working out that way, don't marry him because he's playing Russian roulette with 2 bullets. So I quit working out. Yeah. And then right after my son was born, we did genetic testing to make sure that he didn't have the condition that I had. And I'm still kind of upset about this. Found out I was misdiagnosed.
Huh.
So all these years, I've been living like that, misdiagnosed.
Man.
So, I fell into like a deep depression during a time there, and I wasn't taking care of myself. So recently I just started, getting back into it a little bit, getting back into working out a little bit. Wrestling's long gone.
Yeah.
But you know what? For the better, because I picked up stand-up comedy. When I was in high school, I liked stand-up comedy. I was watching Comedy Central, Comedy Central Presents, and that's where I saw like Louis Black and Kathleen Madigan, Jim Gaffigan, and Brian Regan. But the thing that really made me want to really actually do stand-up comedy was Kevin Smith.
Okay.
I was a big fan of Clerks and Mallrats, Chasing Amy. Like, I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan, and I probably watched An Evening with Kevin Smith 1 million times.
Okay.
And that's like a 4 or 5 hour long.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I kept watching him, and I was watching in amazement because here's a guy in jean shorts and a hoodie, and he might not be driving a Lamborghini, but he's doing something that he loves, and he's able to talk to people about it. And I don't want to sound mean when I say this, but I looked at Kevin Smith and I was like, there's nothing incredibly special about this guy. There's no reason that this guy can't chase his dream. And then, there's no reason this guy can't accomplish his dream and me not chase mine.
Yeah. And I get it. I get that.
Yeah.
Because, we're all in that same place where you can, and as comics, we tend to sometimes, I want to say compare, but we look at what's out there and we're going, I know I can do better, or I can at least, do like what they're doing and jump out there with them and go after the same thing they're going after. What's the difference between him and I? Work. It's like just to jump out there and do the work. So that's good.
Yeah. So after the millionth time, I watched him, and I I signed up for an MC class, and I signed up for a workshop. And, like I said, I got the business cards and the website, which rubbed quite a few of the local comedians the wrong way at first.
Mm.
Which in hindsight, I think it's just kind of stupid. If you're a comedian and you're getting upset watching other like brand new comedians already got their website, you know what I do? I take their card and I hold on to it, and I just kind of laugh to myself, because I'm like, in a year from now, they're going to realize they wasted this money, and they're going to realize they don't have their act yet. And then it's something, if they're still doing comedy a year from now, if we're friends, I can make fun of them about, because I've done the same thing.
Right. And I get it. I mean, it could go both ways. It either they were right in doing it, and then their career just takes off, or they come back and they're like, maybe I shouldn't have jumped on my website. Maybe I should have worked on my set a little bit harder. And that's the thing, is you definitely got to make sure that your craft is good. Like, you have to get that first, and there's no way around it. You got to work hard. You got to grind. And then let these other opportunities come their way. If somebody's saying, "Hey, we need to get a hold of you," then that's when it's like, okay, I need to get some way to communicate and network with everybody, get a website, blah blah. Right. But it is good to have at least a network of comedians and open mics or comedy clubs that are local that you're a part of. So that way, when things start to soar or start to work, then you have something to fall back on and be able to use that as network. Yeah,
absolutely. And you know what? I learned mostly my second year in, because when I first got started, Dennis, I don't know if you remember this. You probably don't. I was engaged to somebody who eventually I ended up not marrying. And it was one of those things, we both were young, and I think we both thought we knew what we wanted, but as obviously we got a little bit older, it started becoming more and more apparent that the two of us wanted different things. And then as I made this promise to this girl, I decide I want to take this whole other avenue in life. I want to go out to bars, until 11 o'clock at night. And I don't drink, but I want to be around a bunch of people drinking and smoking, telling jokes. Right. And then when we broke up, I decided, like, I need to take this a lot more seriously, because before I was doing, 2, maybe 3 open mics a week. And I was like, in 2012, I'm going to do 250 shows by the end of the year. And it was February or March. I think it was February when I made that, because in January, I think I only did like 7 shows. So I made that goal in February. And if you know anything about like numbers, I think that comes out to, you need to do 5 shows a week.
Yeah.
And
pretty much.
By the end of December, I did 260 shows. That was also the year I was one of the finalists in the Clean Comedy Challenge when it was in Georgia, which was pretty cool, because the next street over is where they were filming The Walking Dead, and some of the cast would come in and get their coffee.
That's cool.
They wouldn't stay for the show. They didn't care that the show was going on. They're real stars.
Yeah, exactly. It's all good, but that's cool, man. That's you're in that. Yeah, we're grinding it in, and you're making sure you put in the time in.
And I that was also the year I realized, that was the start of me realizing like what work really needs to go in. And that was also when I realized, like, I need to hang around people who are working comedians, and it doesn't mean that they're only working clubs, or they're only, they're only full-time comedians. I looked at my buddy Bill Barranque. Do you guys know Bill Barranque? I don't know if he's been.
The name sounds familiar. I don't.
Okay. Really good friend of mine. Greg Smerdell, another Cleveland guy. I started watching these guys, my friend Jerry Jaffe too. And I'm like, these guys are working VFW halls. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not working VFW halls. They're getting paid. They're not making thousands of dollars, but hell, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'll take $20 for a 10-minute spot. And during this time too, because Cleveland's so close to Erie, Pennsylvania, I was guest emceeing Erie, Pennsylvania's comedy club probably every 3 weeks. Yeah. On a Saturday night. So while all the comedians aren't able to do open mics on Saturday nights, I was going out getting experience working a club, for free, because they weren't paying their comics then, but it was only a 90-minute drive, and I was so new. Yeah. I was doing 2 shows on a Saturday night. So, you know, I learned my way around certain things. And like I said, I started hanging around comedians who were working just to
Yeah.
kind of see what they were doing and how they were going about it. And then eventually that led to, hey, why don't you do a set on our show, you know, 10 minutes,
Yeah.
we'll give you gas money. And then that led to, oh, hey, how about, you know, I got this other show in a couple months. You can MC, you know, $25, whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, cool. And then eventually that leads to featuring, and eventually it leads to headlining. And
That's
eventually
it.
that leads to you meeting other comics from knowing them.
That's it. You know, when I think about that setup, what brings to mind is, for me, is I grew up in Chicago, and I'm always looking at it this way. Okay, so I was always playing basketball, and I didn't know at first, you know, the skills of how, you know, to, you know, the whole concept of, you know, making sure that you play as a team and all this other stuff. I just wanted to play. But there was 2 squads every time I went to go play, and there was this one squad that just a bunch of beginners, you know, we're just, you know, trying to shoot around. But I always looked over to the other squad because the other squad had the ballers. They had people that can ball. And so I'm watching them, and I'm like, man, I want to be able to eventually go to that squad.
Right.
But I had to put in work in order for me to get to that squad, at least for them to even give me a chance. I had to get the fundamentals down. I had to get the understanding of how it all worked. And then when I got to that place where I was comfortable where I was at, then I jumped in a game. And when I gained confidence and I was able to work with those other comedians, or I'm sorry, other players, it's almost the same way. Like if you're in a nice spot where there's a bunch of open micers, it's not about who's funnier than who. It's about how can I get my game to where I can hang with these other comedians so that when I'm with them, I'm learning more and I'm gleaning more. So when I played ball, I was like, I'm going to get good enough so that way when I jump in, the confidence of other comics are going to look at me, other players are going to say, you know what? All right, I want you to at least play guard, or I want you to play point, you know, pass it, you know these guys are how they play. And so when I got to understand that, then you know, as soon as I turned around, I was like, man, I'm already playing with the second squad, because I decided that if I learn the fundamentals down and get really good at this, that when I play with these guys, I'm gonna get better because I'm gonna work with them and they got skills. So it's the same way, in my opinion, that when you're around comics that want to be successful, you're gonna get successful with them because you're getting from them those tools that you need. So if you can sharpen them, they're gonna sharpen you, and then it just grows from there. If you're in a healthy environment, because sometimes these cats, they don't want you to grow, they don't want you to get good. And the minute you get some time on stage, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, why is he getting stage time?
Yeah.
Or why?" You know, it's like it's very cutthroat. But at the same time, if you can hang with a couple people that give you, like, couples clubs or open mics that give you that time, and other comedians, you kind of get that idea of, okay, you guys want me to succeed, so I want you to succeed, and it works. And so that's how I kind of see it too as well. So I see what you're saying on that. That's a really good thing, that you want to hang with those who want to be successful.
And, you know, to add on to that, it's 2 things I want to say where, to add to it, where the one thing I love is you turn out like the 5 people you hang around the most, whether or not you truly realize it. You really do.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, like you said, you get some of these circles of comics that are really negative about things. I think a lot of people are afraid of success that they might obtain.
Mm-hmm.
I truly,
You're right.
I'll tell you this much. I know that there's certainly been times where I've been afraid of it, and I'll disguise it as other ways, you know, jealousy or trash talking. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. I've said some mean things about other comedians behind their backs. Things that at the time I in hindsight I probably didn't believe, or, you know, just, oh, that guy's not funny, what's he hitting that for? I can tell you what he got that for. He went out there, he asked the club owner, he asked the booker, he sent some emails, he sent a promo package. Meanwhile, you know, I'm playing on my phone wondering how come no one's booking me. You know, you got to get out of your own way. And you got to find, you know, if you're around people who are standing in their own way, you're going to just stand in your own way as well.
So
that's true.
Dan, let me ask you this.
Sure.
When you think back of over the years, what was one of the best pieces of advice somebody gave to you about getting better or getting funnier, whatever it might be? When it comes to your comedy career, what was the best piece of advice you think somebody gave to you?
Yeah, I'll tell you a couple of things because this is the things I tell new comedians too, based on prior advice. The first bit of advice was be careful whose advice you're taking. Because here's the thing: if you're taking advice from somebody who's been doing bar shows for 20 years and that's literally all they're doing, listen to their advice. Okay, am I going to wind up like you doing these bar shows? And I don't mean like, oh, I'm headlining bar shows every weekend, because some of those comics make pretty good money. I mean, I'm doing 5 minutes every night at bars, and then eventually going to some of these places hoping that the manager sees me. Be careful, be careful of people's advice, because you don't know what's going to be good. You don't know what's going to be bad. Because eventually you're going to have to find your own way. Take the advice that obviously sounds like it's going to help you. The other advice: write. Don't stop writing.
That's it.
Don't stop writing. Even if you're not feeling funny, even if you're just writing what you're feeling, even if you're writing what you're thinking about, just get it out there. Get your feelings out there, get your emotions out there, because eventually you're going to stumble across something funny.
That's it. That's good.
So when it comes to your writing process, you say write.
Mm-hmm.
Are you one of these pen and paper type of guys writing? Are you let's get on the computer and tap away type writing? What's your procedure? I'm not looking for your secrets.
Sure.
I don't want to know your secret recipe for Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Hey,
but what's your process in terms of finding your material, writing the funny, and working it out to becoming something that's solid enough to be on your next album?
Well, what I will say is the majority of my bits, majority of my jokes are, I don't want to say fiction because they're based off of truth, but they're meant for comedy, if you know what I mean. But what I'll do is I'll sit down and I have, my notebooks that I use. And if I'm just trying to write jokes, just whatever I'm thinking about. And this is the other thing I tell new comics too. 99.9% of the right stuff that you're going to write is going to be trash. It's going to be awful. It's not funny. But that 0.1% that you keep coming up with is going to be your act. Because I have, in 10 years of writing, I have binders. Like, I kept everything that I've written, and I have like binders because I'll rip out the pages of the notebook and put them in binders and stuff. Like, this is book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4, whatever. So I got these binders just stacked up in my office. And occasionally I'll go through them and just think like, wow, you are the worst comedian in the world. I don't think any comedian's ever written this much bad material. But I'll write. And then if I'm not feeling funny, I'll write about how I'm feeling. Another thing I did is I printed off like 200 pages of like questions just to ask yourself. And then if I can't think of even how I'm feeling, I just go, next time you rent an apartment, what's something you're going to look for? And then I'll start creative writing that way.
That's good.
The other thing too is I'm trying to continue my creativity. I wrote a series of comic books actually that just all 3 have now been published, and just my luck, the 3rd issue of my comic book series came out 2 days before our governor shut down everything.
Brutal.
Yeah. So, and the comic books were selling good at shows too. That was a thing. So I had like, hey, you got the complete series, guys. I'll make a deal. And so, but I'm excited to get back to selling them this weekend. Hopefully there's some people who want some. So if I can't think of anything, I'll go to my comic book writing, especially if I got a really strong idea of what I want to do. Something else that, that I turned this pandemic into a blessing. I've been writing a screenplay that I finished too.
That's what's up.
Yeah. So good. I'm constantly trying to write, but then again, I feel like I am a writer. So that's where I fall back on. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Totally. That's good.
Well, I will say that I don't know what I am, so I didn't have anything to fall back on. So I pretty much said to Steve, "You got to do something that's going to make us money."
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that kind of approach has worked for me my entire life. So
Yeah.
if I just
Hey,
You find a way to make me money.
That's it.
I just hang out with people that can find a way to make money that I can take it from them. I'm winning. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But you know
We're
what
getting
else I
some
did?
Yeah.
What I'll say is during this pandemic, I also held some virtual workshops with a couple of close friends. So I am excited to say that at Gutties this weekend, I do have quite a bit of new material that I am confident in that I'm going to be sprinkling in my act.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Just trying to stay busy and trying to stay active and keeping my eyes on the end zone there.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is only for right now. Shows are coming back, and when they come back, I need to be ready.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I appreciate the fact that, as a comedian, you got to make sure that you have your game locked. Especially, and we may not be an A-list club yet, but to be honest with you, I'm all about presentation, even though my screen doesn't say much. But I'm all about presentation. I'm all about making sure that you got your game on lock, and I'm all about making sure that the craft of comedy is respected. And when you go up there and you're able to have a tight set and just come out and have fun and bring your jokes, to see it grow where you can sprinkle some jokes here and there in between is I love to see that process, because it just shows you that not only am I not going to be stagnant with just these jokes, I'm actually working on getting more. And so just watching the process is what I like to see other comics do. And then for myself, it's like it just motivates me and inspires me to just keep writing. You just got to keep writing, even though you're doing everything else. You got to be able to just keep writing as a comic because it boils down to that. So it's really cool to see that you have stuff set, and I appreciate that. That's good.
Yeah, and I also have a couple things coming down the pipeline too. A couple podcasts that I've been working on that
Nice.
We'll see in the next few months.
Yeah, that's good.
Staying busy.
Your comic books, people can find that on your website, the danbrowncomedy.com website.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You can. You're going to have to private message me because I'm so technologically illiterate. Like I don't know how to set up a store or anything. So if you want it on there, send me an email. I'll figure out a way to get it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, most ways I've been getting it out to people have been obviously after shows. And I've been excited to get some feedback because I give them my business card, and quite a few people do email me back saying, "Hey, I really enjoyed your book. I thought it was a lot of fun."
That's cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, so what's next then for Dan Brown? I mean, besides coming to
Gutties.
The top shelf grade A.
That's right.
Premier family friendly clean comedy club in the universe.
That's right.
Gutties Comedy Club. Yeah. Besides that, what you got going on?
I got a few things coming down the pipeline. When these clubs start booking again, there's a lot of places that canceled that are going to obviously be rebooking and looking to book the comedians that they unfortunately had to cancel. Which was a question I made sure I asked before when they did tell me, like, for sure. We'll definitely have you back. I wanted to make sure I'm like, okay, I'm still in your mind.
Right.
So, just trying to get my schedule back in order is a big thing. Working on more comic books. Me and my buddy Mark Mackay, he's a filmmaker up here in Cleveland. We are going to have a Boy Meets World podcast coming out that two of us are just doing out of love and passion. Nice. I do a wrestling podcast called Side Angle Wrestling Podcast with my friend Ray Hyclack, who's a Cleveland comic. Trying to write more books later this year. I actually just emailed them, and of course, the pandemic slowed everything down. I filmed with Dry Bar Comedy back in January. And finally it got to me. I'm like, okay, I have to know, when you guys planning on editing mine? I have to know because you're making me care. Except I didn't come out desperate. I was like, oh, hey, by the way, while I got you here, can I
Yeah.
can I ask? They said post production is gonna be sometime in December or January.
Yeah.
If they can get back into the office, get back to working, it's possible it can be sooner.
Yeah.
So just get and that did take a lot of a lot of stress off of me because I know a lot of funny people who recorded for Dry Bar that eventually they did not make their special.
That's
and
interesting.
Yeah, and I was so nervous.
Yeah.
I was so nervous from the time I signed the contract to the moment the show was over. And you're talking about from November to January. I was paranoid because I was like, oh, what if I just bomb? My biggest opportunity. What if I just bomb? And my friend Bill Barranque, who I mentioned earlier, while I was on the plane from Cleveland to Salt Lake City, sent me an email. So I got it when I landed, and I started openly crying on the plane because he said so many nice things to me about me. And usually we just riff on each other. We make fun like buddies do. Just saying there's a reason why you got selected for this. You know how hardworking you are. You're a really funny guy. And right now he's going to, if when he watches this, he's going to be like, why are you saying nice things about me?
Ironically, Bill sent me an email about the same time saying, you should see the crap that I have just sent to Dan. He's going to believe all this stuff. Can you believe it? No,
But you know what? The second show that night was a really good show. It wasn't my best show, far from my worst show. But I was like, you know what? If they air this, I wouldn't be embarrassed. But the first show that evening was probably in the top 5 sets I've ever had.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Good. So I was so elated. I was so relieved when it was all said and done. I was just like, oh, thank goodness. My wife is like, finally, you can stop.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if you can see. I'll step away. Yeah. My wife actually.
Look at your drum set, dude. Yeah, that's what's up.
This is actually a comedy club stage my wife built for me for my 30th birthday party for a surprise roast.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's cool, man. How did you get connected with Dry Bar?
I had a couple of friends who had performed Dry Bar. Okay. One of them had given me the email. And then I sent them a clip. I think my clip was like 24 minutes of being very, very clean and funny.
Yeah, you wouldn't be on there if they didn't think that. So
thank you. And
yeah, for sure.
And it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, this, I from what I understand, they want to be able to see, okay, if you did this exact set, could we do this exact set on our show? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what anyone who's asked, I was like, make sure you get that video first. If you don't have that video, you're probably stuck.
Not going to happen. Yeah.
And then you just have to email. And as I tell people, I think Abraham Lincoln said, the harder you work, the luckier you get. I found their email and I emailed away, with my typical email chain that I do. I think, Dennis, you probably seen an email from me for every 3 months until you book me. I'm sorry, every 3 weeks until you book me.
Every
3 weeks
day.
on the nose. Hey, man. Remember
here I am again. Yeah. It's
every other day. Hey, I just wanted to make sure you knew I was still alive.
Yeah.
Hey, it's that hustle.
2 days later, hey, you dirtbag, you ever going to have me at your club?
Yeah.
The next day, if you don't let me out of your club, I'm going to send somebody from Cleveland to kill you. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna book you.
I was in Indianapolis about a year ago when you guys first opened the club, and I almost went to the show, but it would have probably ended by the time my show had just finished.
Oh wow!
That's cool. I was planning on going the next day because I do a lot of shows at comic book conventions because I have a lot of nerd material, and that's probably my number one fan base I'm trying to reach out to. And Indiana Comic-Con is my favorite show I do every year. They get a huge audience to come in. We fill out the room. The people there buy my comic book. They get my sticker. And it's like my set's like 30 minutes, just fun. I do it with 2 of my other buddies. And I was planning on doing it again on Saturday, but I have an epileptic dog, and
goodness, yeah.
At that time, he was having seizures like every few months, but he got the cluster grand mal seizures, and he's a big Saint Bernard, so they're big and violent when they happen. And he had just had him a week before, and we had him at the emergency vet. And Saturday morning, my wife texted me. She's like, Heyman's having seizures. And he had 5 of them within an hour. And I texted my buddy who I do the shows with. I'm like, hey, man, it's going to have to be you two. You know, I have to, because we thought we might have to put him down, which luckily we didn't have to. We took him to a new vet, and they're helping us manage his epilepsy a lot better. But there was no way I was going to let that dog, you know, if he had to be put down without me there.
Yeah. Don't kill the puppy.
No. See, man, I set you up. Good callback.
And again, Leslie's advice comes to play.
It comes to play, man. Yeah, kill the. Look,
but,
okay,
he's actually cool. In my comic book. My dog is my co-host. He's my sidekick.
That's
to give you an idea. Just that's my soul dog there.
Yeah.
So
that's cool, man. That's cool. That's exciting because my daughter's actually getting into more and more. She illustrates as well. She wants to get into comic and character development.
Okay.
And so that's cool, man. I didn't know. I should have known, but I'm gonna look into. I don't know if they're gonna have this year. Obviously, I don't know if they're gonna have this year, but
they canceled this year. They're pushing next year. Yeah.
Okay, so I think I might take it there. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely, it's so
good
cool.
Job, man. That's cool.
We actually, Point of View, the improv team that I was doing shows with for a while, we did a couple of improv shows during Comic-Con.
Oh, yeah.
Would have been maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I don't remember how long ago it was. Again, I slept twice. But that's a crazy crowd to perform with, particularly when you're doing improv.
Yeah.
Because we always said, we are a clean improv group.
Yeah.
But when we're doing shows, we always accept every offer that comes to us. And so if your audience wants to take us off the deep end, we're probably going to take that offer, and then we can't claim that was our fault. It was It was those filthy-minded comic people.
Yeah,
I was about to say, that's got to be hard in improv to be able to stay clean if your audience is just yelling out filthy stuff.
Oh, it was.
You have to react.
Yeah,
you have to react. That's the whole point of improv.
And I think, all in all, we did a pretty good job of sanitizing everything that was offered to us. But especially we did the one year we did an early show, and then there was a bunch of stuff that happened, and then we did a late show. And the late show, the people had been partaking of the adult beverages, and by that time it was like, there's no hope for us keeping this show clean. It's
right.
We can sanitize it as much as we want, but it's still going to be off the rails, So
right.
But well, what if you had an opportunity to advise young comics? Because a lot of times we have people that'll check out our show. They may not be watching right now. They might be, I don't know, but. A lot of times they'll come roll through, watch these episodes afterwards, and they let us know, hey, I'm a year in, or I'm not even a full year in, and thanks for helping me learn some things. What words of advice or challenge do you have for them as they're getting their feet wet? They're just learning some of the trade of comedy. What's a golden nugget of advice that you would give to them?
Well, one is to keep writing. Two is make sure you're observant of your circle of friends that you're hanging around. Three, this was actually one of the bits of advice that one of my friends gave me. Every set, you should have a goal. Whether, if you're at an open mic, a regular show, whatever, whether it's to try a new bit or to make sure you're focusing in on one bit, maybe change it up, maybe change up how you're doing your set. Some nights your goal, like if you get a chance to showcase at a club, your goal is to have a good set. but you should always have a goal to every set that you're doing. I thought that was great advice somebody gave me.
That's good.
Slow down.
Hmm.
You know, that's a big thing there. You know, don't get lost. I thought I think it was Patrice O'Neill who was like one thing comics try to do is when they're bombing, they try to do better. Which I thought was hilarious because he was like, if you're going to let me go down, I will take this whole place down with me.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the advice I would give somebody.
That's
but
good.
you know what? Don't. And my wife, she'll watch this and she's going to be like, you got to be kidding me. You're telling people don't get discouraged from bad sets because every one of my sets I think is the worst set ever. And she goes, I just can't deal with you ever.
Yeah. But
I'll be
that's
sulking on the way home.
That's us. Yeah. That's true.
But and the other thing is, you know, just don't be afraid to try new things. And like anything else in life, it's going to be mostly rejections. Except that you're going to notice very few rejections are going to be no or you're awful or anything. Most of them are just going to be emails that aren't replied, which you don't know if they actually looked at your stuff, or if they just, you know. I'm sure you guys get flooded with 100 emails a day. I know.
Yeah.
I know some friends of mine who are bookers at clubs who are like, I easily got 250 emails every single day, and the club's been closed for 4 years now, and I still get a handful of emails every single day.
It's true.
Out of curiosity, were you guys getting a lot of emails even during the pandemic? Well, I mean, obviously, the pandemic's still going on, but I imagine you guys still were.
Yeah, I think it was more. Go ahead.
It was funny because we would get emails of, hey, I've got some openings on my schedule, and I was hoping. And I'm like, yeah, you and everybody who does a show everywhere, you know.
You know, my buddy Cody, who's a really funny Cleveland guy. When this whole thing started, he was like, I was feeling really discouraged that my calendar wasn't filling out the way I would like it to be. But now everyone has the same calendar as me.
Nice. Nice.
I was like, that's beautiful, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't get discouraged. Don't be too hard on yourself, but be realistic about what needs to change and what needs to be better.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Well, Dan, I want to thank you for taking some time to hang out with us tonight. I know that you know, because your schedule is so jam-packed full right now that you've got stuff going on every waking moment.
And I apologize for looking off the screen. I'm looking at my son's baby monitor right now.
Oh, it's nice. It's all good. It's all good.
Making sure he's doing good.
Yeah,
well,
no problem.
I just hope he's not jumping around like Steve's video is.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's just absolutely horrible.
But anyway, no, hey, thanks for hanging out with us. And we are looking forward to having some laughs with you here at Gutty's this weekend.
Yeah.
So, you know, hopefully some of those Comic-Con people, they've been following you, and they're going to say, hey, we need to go down to Greenwood and watch our comic buddy do some comics and some comedy. So you can feel free to draw comic books while you're doing your show. I don't. But
as long as they're there. Jokes. Yeah, exactly.
As long as they're there, having a good time.
Exactly.
But anyway, I appreciate you taking some time. We look forward to having you this weekend.
Thank you.
And hey, do me a favor. Look right in the camera and say, you're watching Gutty's TV.
Thank you guys very much. And you're watching Gutty's TV.
Oh, yeah. Well, all right. Well, I'm going to say so long for now, and we will see you Friday night.
All right.
So I guess I'm still moving. You're not, but we can wrap this. We can still wrap the show up, I guess. So
yeah, we sure can.
Yeah. Well, for me. It's fun to watch because I know the first time that I met Dan, he was newer in the game. I don't know how long he'd been doing it, but he was still kind of feeling like he was newer in the game. And it's been so much fun to watch him progress and get better and just do the work that it takes to move on and become better with the craft. And so it's kind of fun to have him on as a guest and to know that he's rolling in to headline this weekend at the club. So
yeah, that's really good, man. And I'm glad to see that too. And I'm glad that we're able to give him the opportunity to be able to be on stage too as well. So I'm pretty excited about it too.
well,
The thing is, it's funny because I'm excited about it, but you can't see it on my face. It's because, bro, this is not gonna happen again. Trust me. You know me. This whole thing with this computer stuff, man, is like, okay, we're gonna make sure we get this right. But it's all good, man. It was a great show. I love talking about just the idea of the process, man. And when they start breaking down the process, oh, now you're gonna be a punk. Now you're gonna be a punk.
I'm listening to you. I just wanted to be frozen with you.
You're not listening to me, dude. You're not listening to me.
No, I can hear everything you're saying.
Yeah, jerk. Anyway, so make sure you go online, download our mobile app, and just make sure you stay in touch with us, man, because everything that we send through our mobile app, you'll be able to get tickets. You'll be able to watch Pops and the Rican show. You can watch this show and laugh at the fact that I'm frozen. You can also just be able to purchase our Tubies and just all these different things that we have available for you. Gutties is back up, and we're just excited about the show and what's going to happen moving forward. So make sure you come out, get your tickets, and have a good time, man. So I'm good, bro. I'm having a good time. I'm happy that we're able to get it going.
Well, and the last thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to roll some of this bean footage that says pretty much the same thing I'm saying, is make sure that you go down here and you click the submit, the subscribe button. You want to subscribe to our channel, and then the little bell next to the subscribe thing, you want to hit that bell so they keep up to date with all of the new videos we got coming. And, let us know that we're doing something that you're finding helpful, and leave us comments, and we'll do everything we can to keep improving and keep bringing good quality fun, not only here to the Pops and the Rican show, but to shows every weekend at Gutties Comedy Club, downtown Greenwood, right next door to Dollar General if you're looking for it. So come on down, and we're going to have some fun together. Until next time, I think I'm still Pops.
Yep, and I'm the Rican.
And this has been the
Pops and the Rican show.
And the Almost Rican show.
Pops and the Rican.
Pops and the Rican.
Look at this. Pops and the Rican.
The Pops and the Rican.
What? The Pops and the Rican.
Look at the top of his head. Look at this.
Pops and the Rican.
Pops and the Rican.